Welcome, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, for joining us here in this opportunity to celebrate and take part in this momentous occasion, to be able to join with neighbors and our community in a national park that has achieved something really wonderful. All the parks around the world who've achieved this goal of being a dark sky park, an international dark sky park, has been working hard to maintain that designation, because it's a very sought after and valuable designation. Joshua Tree Park has achieved that designation. The International Dark Sky Association believes that Joshua Tree National Park is a jewel in the national parks that has this designation. The reason being is because it's so close to so many people. We have roughly 18 million people are a couple hours away from Joshua Tree National Park. My name is Tom O'Key, and I'm an amateur astronomer here in Joshua Tree, and I am also humbly happy to be a representative for the International Dark Sky Association as a chapter leader here in the Morongo Basin. And I know I'm not the first guy to fall in love with the night sky in Joshua Tree National Park, and I also know that I'm not going to be the last. I can say that I have the pleasure of saying that I fell in love with the night sky when this was Joshua Tree National Monument. And so that says a lot for what a monument can be, knowing what we're knowing about that stuff. But I'm very fortunate to be able to enjoy this night sky as we enjoy it here in Joshua Tree National Park. And I want to thank the park personnel who over the many years now have worked hard to create the opportunity to share this celebration, this designation tonight. Knowing the park has achieved the designation goes to the point that says that there's a commitment that the national park has achieved the designation in being able to maintain and improve the night sky conditions. And that also shows that we've got the opportunity for community to join in with that commitment. It's not just the park, it's our commitment as well. It's not only the park's benefit, it's our benefit as well. The communities and those who live on the margins and the boundaries of Joshua Tree National Park share in the benefits and the rewards that this designation brings. It's going to make the skies more natural, it's going to help the environment, it's going to make seeing the cosmos be that much better for everybody to enjoy. And I think that everybody will benefit because of that. And so the partnership that's forged in this relationship, it comes from the park maintaining its status, and it comes from the community helping to maintain that status. Tonight we're going to hear from some other speakers, and they're going to talk about different subjects regarding the International Dark Sky designation. Part of it's going to be the history of how the historical involvement of astronomy has been part of Joshua Tree National Park, and the astronomers who have come here for the dark skies, and how Joshua Tree National Park is iconic for that. And we have tonight examples of that. We also are going to talk about the current situation with regards to where we are in the fight to try and deal with light pollution and what we know about it and what we can do to help work on light pollution. And we're also going to have the opportunity to see the benefits of the majesty and the spectacular nature of what dark sky brings when we protect the night environment and the night sky. So without further delay, I want to introduce our newest interpretive division ranger, who comes from the Grand Canyon National Park, who for 11 years ran the star parties in Grand Canyon, which are famous, of course, and now we have her here, Marker Marshall. Everybody.
All right, thank you, Tom. So mainly I just want to thank you all for coming out. tonight and showing your support. I thank you for not being twice the number that you are, because I had nightmares about that after this made it into the papers. But yeah, it's a nice sign. I was told, for instance, that no politicians are going to come out on a Saturday evening for an event, but we've got a few of those here tonight. So yeah, just thanks for all this community does and for showing your support here tonight. I also want to thank Copper Mountain College for supporting us, and especially, so they're sponsoring this event tonight, allowing us to have it here. And our sponsor, particularly among the faculty, is Bruce Breinbecker, who I have not even met. So Bruce, where are you at? See here? I know Paul Livio is here. Yeah, so a representative of the astronomy department, and also we've got Jeff Cummings representing the college, so thank you. What else? I want to thank the astronomers who are bringing their telescopes tonight. The plan is that we'll have telescopes set up at Sky's the Limit, which is just outside the north entrance of the park on Utah Trail in 29 Palms. And then we'll have, well, Superintendent David Smith has opened up the Hidden Valley picnic area, normally a day use area in the park. And we'll have telescopes set up there by about 8:15 or 8:30 and up until at least 11. The moon is supposed to rise about 10 to 11 tonight, and then it'll start to wash things out. So 11-ish, we can go to bed. Sky's the Limit. They're dedicated. They've offered to be there until midnight tonight. And from Sky's the Limit has been a major partner with the park. Again, they allowed us to advertise their location tonight, so we won't have too bad parking issues. And they are out there 3 Saturdays a month doing amazing things and allowing us to advertise that in the park for visitors who are asking us about STAR programs. So anybody here, who's here from Sky's the Limit? I see Daryl over there, Anne, and Steve. Just a round of applause for what these guys are doing out there every Saturday night. And speaking of Sky's the Limit, that will also be the primary destination once again for the Night Sky Festival at Joshua Tree this year, which this year is going to be moved into November. It's Veterans Day weekend, November 10th, 11th, and 12th, and the primary location will be around the Oasis Visitor Center in 29 Palms and Sky's the Limit Observatory. One other event I should mention, next week on Monday the 21st in the morning is the partial eclipse of the sun, and they're going to have stuff going on at Sky's the Limit and at the Oasis Visitor Center in the park. And I've got a long rectangular box there. If there's anybody here that has not yet gotten yourself some eclipse glasses, thank you very much to the Joshua Tree National Park Association, which got us about 800 of them to be shared in the park, and agreed to allow us to give them out tonight. So after the program, if you don't yet have eclipse glasses, feel free to take a pair from that box. The last thing I wanted to say is I'm going to introduce Karen Davidson, and Karen is a coworker of mine in the Division of Interpretation at Joshua Tree National Park, but she's here tonight to speak not from the park perspective, but from her own history with astronomy in this area. So Karen Davidson.
Good evening. Can you hear me in the back? Because I was having okay, thank you, Fraser. First, I'd like to thank Tom O'Kee for inviting me to add a few words to this celebration of Joshua Tree National Park's Dark Sky Park designation. That's kind of a tongue twister. Next, I would like to thank all members, both past and present, of the Andromeda Society, whose generous volunteerism opened the park's night skies to thousands of visitors in the Hidden Valley picnic area. For many years, on the first Saturday night following the new moon, everyone was invited to gaze through the telescopes set up by the avocational astronomers of the Andromeda Society and view, for the first time perhaps, the dimpled craters of the moon, the icy rings of Saturn, or the Galilean moons of Jupiter. Among the most passionate of these volunteers was my father, Sam, who would have felt proud and gratified to be here this evening. Like many of his fellow Andromedans, he had worked in the field of aerospace and understood the importance of scientific literacy well before that expression became commonplace. My father would have thanked everyone whose efforts to establish Joshua Tree as a dark sky park made it happen. Or of Hunter, the other half of our local odd couple, Tom and the Joshua Tree Astronomy Arts Theater, and the Southern California Desert Video Astronomers, my fellow park ranger, Luke Sabala, and the rangers presenting night sky programs and organizing the park's Night Sky Festival, Wally Paholka, and all the long-suffering night sky photographers whose images allow us to see the detailed splendor of the nocturnal sky, the organizers of the Starry Nights festivals, and Ann Congdon and the Sky's the Limit volunteers. And he surely would have subjected you to his famously corny sense of humor, which I will not spare you. Come on, how many of you still imagine the sun as a loaf of bread that rises in the yeast and settles in the vest? Seriously, I'm going to have to work on my Brooklyn accent. As the sky begins to darken tonight, you may wish to stop for a moment and send your gratitude to those still here and those who are not, who made it a priority to protect our night sky, that sacred window into the universe, both known and unknown. Krista McAuliffe, the teacher and Challenger astronaut, said, "Space is for everybody. It's not just for a few people in science or math, or for a select group of astronauts. That's our new frontier out there, and it's everybody's business to know about space." On my father's behalf, I thank all of you who made it your business to protect our dark skies for everybody's enjoyment. May clear skies be with all of you tonight. Thank you.
That's going to be hard to top. Sam Davidson was one of my mentors. I remember pulling into the Hidden Valley picnic area for the very first time with a telescope I repaired, and the only parking place available was filled with people, and in the middle was Sam showing people the meteorite, and and cracking jokes, just like Karen says, you know. Well, one fish said to the other when he bumped his head, "Damn." Sam Davidson. And then Orv Hunter and many others, the mentors, Ken Keller, all gone, but still remembered well, and on their behalf. At this point, I want to introduce some of the people who are working hard to help with this legacy of dark skies, and friends of mine. Would Lorraine and Pat come up? Lorraine Turk and Pat Flanagan. These two gals, tirelessly work on behalf of our community, and they are on our Dark Sky Committee now, and have been on the Dark Sky warpath for a long time. And they have some words to talk about with regards to what's going on there, and then something special. Thank you. There they are.
Hi, everyone. Again, a wonderful event. I'm going to just briefly remind us of some others that have had a lot to do with making good things like this happen. We had a Morongo Basin Dark Skies Alliance group that was a combination of all of the entities in the basin. It was wonderful. The base, the college, the nonprofit groups, the park, and we worked on the county dark sky code and trying to help the county become more have a stronger code for the dark skies. Victoria Fuller, I want to specifically mention. We lost her this spring, and she was an advocate for the program to the point where she took the lead on a program where we got a little bit of money from the county. This was with the prior supervisor, and our current supervisor, I know he will be speaking, but he's helping us do this again and have another dark sky committee to work with the county. But in this prior one, from about 2013 to 2015, we actually got some funding to help downtown Joshua Tree residents replace glaring night sky unfriendly lights on their porches with 100 new fixtures that shielded their lights. And it was a way to get the word out there. It was a way to actually help people. And many of the people in and around downtown Joshua Tree are on low income, so we were able to provide this for them. So, you know, it's fun to actually have something happen that helps the dark night skies that's so, physical, something that really makes a difference. But we have, as I said, started another group, and we hope to be working with the county to help with more of that code stuff, ordinances and codes. And now, Pat and I will share the reading of
the resolution that the County of San Bernardino and Supervisor Ramos will present to Supervisor David Smith. Starting out, whereas San Bernardino County, California hosts access and shared boundaries with several national parks that drive cultural and economic values deemed important and to the citizens and visitors to San Bernardino County, and
whereas Joshua Tree National Park has, for more than 80 years, been a treasured neighbor to the County of San Bernardino since being designated a national monument in 1936 and then a national park in 1994. And
whereas Joshua Tree National Park has hosted many millions of visitors from all around the world and served as a source of repose, creativity, adventure, exploration, education, and enjoyment by citizens seeking ecological and environmental values found in the wilderness of the desert lands of Southern California and San Bernardino County, and
whereas Joshua Tree National Park remains an institution of international admiration, recognized as a natural and cultural establishment having historic, scientific, philosophic, intrinsic, and spiritual values of unique biology, geography, geology, and archaeology that additionally serves as a refuge for wide-ranging values in astronomic experiences for personal enjoyment, and
Whereas Joshua Tree National Park remains an has been utilized by millions of visitors who come to the park to enjoy and experience and explore the vastness of the night sky in natural darkness without the intrusion of excess light pollution and obstruction of viewing the Milky Way and other astronomical objects and bodies, and with unaided naked eyes can see the cosmos known in a natural state. And
Whereas Joshua Tree National Park has been designated as an official silver tier dark sky park by achieving goals set forth under guidelines established and managed by the International Dark Sky Association. And
now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of San Bernardino, State of California, does hereby recognize Joshua Tree National Park as a silver tier dark sky park.
be it further resolved that this resolution be noted in the minutes of this board and that a copy be presented to the Superintendent of Joshua Tree National Park, dated July 25th, 2017, signed by Robert Lovingood and James Ramos, the two desert supervisors, and Laura Welch, the chief clerk of the Board of Supervisors. The end.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to call up Supervisor Ramos and Superintendent David Smith, and wherever you'd like. And then anybody with cameras that would like to come and take a picture, this is the resolution as read by Lorraine and Pat.
This is really, really wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah, now Supervisor Ramos, everybody.
Well, thank you, and really, the congratulations goes out to everybody that's involved in getting us to the point that we're here today to celebrate the dark sky. So give yourselves a round of applause there. I think one of the things that can't be overlooked is that first it was a national monument and then a national park, and we've seen how much economic opportunities have come to the Morongo Basin based on that. So I think there's still the support that this office has, that I personally have, for the open spaces here in the Morongo Basin, if not for the state of California. When you look at where we're at today, protecting the dark skies, when you drive out here from areas that we represent, from downtown San Bernardino, just driving out here with my wife, you feel a sense of that stress just lift off you. Being able to preserve areas like this, being able to partner with the National Park System and with the community on what's important to you, to be able to go back and champion those ideas really has been heartfelt throughout my district and throughout myself. To be here today, to come out on Saturday, I would have came out on Saturday, I would have came out on Sunday, I would have came out to show the support, because we need to make sure that those that are growing up in the communities in San Bernardino County and the major cities that are there need to know that places like this exist for you to come out, to be sure to bring your family and to be able to de-stress in life. That's what it's about. We can't always be in the middle of all these different cities and think that everything needs to be built out. We need to start to preserve some of this land and preserve the dark skies so that our future generations will be able to know where it is that they come from. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here on behalf of San Bernardino County and to show that support through the resolution, and to make one more comment that this started as a national monument and got us to where we are today. Thank you.
All right, everybody, and now the man of the hour, David Smith, Superintendent, Joshua Tree National Park.
This is super exciting. I don't know, well actually you guys do know, you wouldn't be here if you didn't know. It is a pretty exciting night. When I was about 10 years ago,
a friend of mine and I were working at Grand Canyon at the time. We got really excited about creating a dark sky park at Grand Canyon. So it was after work. We had a couple beers, and we walked around Grand Canyon Village, and we mapped out every single light that was out there that would have to be dealt with in order to make that into a dark sky park. It was a cold night. We never finished the project. We never did it because we didn't have the follow-through to actually make it happen. This is what happens when people have follow-through better than I did 10 years ago at Grand Canyon. So thank you all. I really want to thank Luke Sabala. Luke, do you mind standing up for a second? So Luke is one of our park rangers. He specializes in geology and is in charge of a variety of different things in his portfolio, including night skies. And over the last many years, 7 years, Luke has been pulling this all together to make this designation actually happen. So we were so lucky to have him. And Luke, I haven't told you this yet. I just checked it out with Jane. You're going to get a star award on Monday for that, so a cash award for your work in doing that. So well done, Luke. So why do people come to national parks like Joshua Tree? We think they come because they like the trees, because they're weird. It looks like Dr. Seuss. We think they come for the rocks because they're Velcro rocks and you can stick to them and they're really fun to climb on. But you'd be surprised to know the number of people that come to Joshua Tree National Park to look at the sky, because they've never seen a night sky before, because like most Americans, and actually most people on this planet right now, they've never ever seen the Milky Way above their heads. And I was one of those people before I came to the desert. I grew up in San Diego area, and I would watch jumbo jets in the sky, but that was about it. I never saw stars until I got stationed down at Cottonwood. And if you've not been down to Cottonwood to look at the night skies, that is the sweetest place to go. I know it's in Riverside County, but they are brothers and sisters on the other side. Wow, some really spectacular stuff. So as a ranger there, I was just delighted to be able to go out there and see these nerds that Karen was talking about earlier. I mean, these are the funkiest guys you've ever met that are out there with their telescopes, and they're so nice, and they're out there till 2 o'clock in the morning, and they have hot chocolate, and they were so excited to tell you about galaxies that are so far away. And that's where my love of the night sky happened. And then it bore fruition one night. I was a ranger working down in Canyonlands, and I was sent out on a manhunt to Hovenweep, which is on the Colorado boundary. And I was sitting out there in the middle of the night waiting for these bad guys to come along by myself on a trail, and I had to stay up the entire night. And I was on my back sometimes, and I watched for the first time the Milky Way do a circle over my head. And it was one of the most magical things I've ever seen, watching that Milky Way. And I know tonight inside the park, there are going to be thousands of people there, because I just got a call from one of my rangers that said all the campsites in the park are full right now in the middle of summer, because people are coming out because they want to see the stars, because they can't see the stars in Tijuana or Phoenix or in Los Angeles or even San Bernardino. They want to see the stars that we have out here in the desert. So I am so honored I get a chance to help protect those stars. And the way I do it is by working with some really spectacular people. People like our friends out on the base. I don't know if we all realize what 29 Palms Marine Base has done over the last 5 years as far as night skies are concerned. They've cut back like 70% on their light, specifically because it makes good financial sense and it makes good environmental sense, but also because they want to be part of the team and make this a dark sky park. So do we have anyone from the base representing us today? Could you mind standing up? Just a round of applause for... So I'm very thankful for the base. I'm very thankful for the County of San Bernardino and actually having resolutions and actually having regulations on the book that encourage folks in the communities actually to have night sky. I'm looking forward to seeing our brothers and sisters down in Riverside County do the same, because we do have some light pollution that spills into the park on the southern boundary, and it would be great to see some additional work done in that realm as well. Okay, I have a list of other people I'm supposed to thank for all their work that they've done. Well, Tom, I thanked liked you already. So you're just awesome. You were so inspirational to me, whether it's bobcats, whether it's, environmental concerns, whatever it is, man. You are just the coolest guy, and I'm glad I'm sitting next to you now. So thank you, Tom. And so what are the next steps? So next steps, I mean, I like the silver medal. It's pretty cool. That makes me feel really special. But I've watched the Olympics enough to know that there's like a step above that. And I'd like to move up to that next step and actually make us go gold. And that's where it comes working with, the other counties and making sure that they are working with their citizens. And it's sending my rangers out there. It's sending Dave and Jane and everyone else out there into the communities to actually let them know that it's an important resource, because once it's gone, it is gone. And it's gone for a really long time until we actually can get those lights put out. So thank you for this honor, for all of you that have worked with it. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for the resolution, and we really appreciate your support. And thank you, people. I cannot believe 100 people came out on a Saturday to recognize this. I look forward to seeing the rest of you out tonight at Hidden Valley. Hopefully we'll have some good meteors coming down as well. I know it usually is after midnight when they start popping out, but maybe we'll have some pre-midnight meteorites as well. So thank you very much.
All right, just to make this official, and since I'm the guy who's been given the opportunity to represent the International Dark Sky Association here today, it's a great honor for me. I got to say, this is really something. As an amateur astronomer, to be standing here at this moment is really amazing. And I just can't thank you enough, Dave Smith, for...
I didn't do anything.
Well, you know, no,
it was
you...
the community, it was the county.
I know the support that comes from the top down, even for an event like today. It took the leverage that you offered. Anyway, we have a little plaque for the park. There's another one coming. That's a much more.
Silver frame. I don't have a
Yeah, and we have a pin.
They're very nice.
But just as a small token, I want to undo something here. We'll use this for taking some photos later, and then I also.
I want to wear my pin.
So step over here for a second, and we'll just let everybody see the plaque that was produced by IDA.
Nice.
I think this is a beginning, ladies and gentlemen, and I think we're in for some really great events in the future with some of the park personnel who've come from Grand Canyon, Jane Rogers and Marker Marshall, and some of the local residents, Gene Mueller and others who've got incredible backgrounds in astronomy, that we've got a powerful community into the future working on behalf of all those from the past. And I can't thank you enough, Superintendent.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
And we'll go ahead and we'll set up for some photos. In the meantime, I just want to make one more mention. I'm just going to use the open door that Superintendent Smith just gave us, because he said bobcats, and I looked in the back of the room, and I happened to notice we have another visitor here tonight. I don't know if he wants to come up and say a couple words or not. I'm not going to force him into that, but if you stand up, Richard, and you want to come up for a minute, I'd invite you. But everybody, this is the man who made the Bobcat Protection Act of 2013 possible. This is Assembly Member Richard Bloom from Santa Monica. And I had the pleasure of meeting him after I found that bobcat trap, and he changed our state laws. That's what he did. Richard Bloom.
Well, I'm very pleased to have been able to carry that legislation. If it were not for people like Tom O'Kee and the good people of Joshua Tree who identified the issue of disappearing bobcats, that bill never would have happened. And it started out as a local bill where we were going to try and protect the population here. It grew into protecting population around a larger area in California, and eventually was implemented as a statewide ban. So bobcats are protected from trapping today. That's not why we're here, though. But thank you for the mention. I read on Facebook that this was happening, and I got in touch with Tom, and I said, gee, could I come down and be there for this event? Because I'll tell you what, there's a number of things that sparked my interest. One is I was, for 14 years, a council member and mayor of the city of Santa Monica. one of the things we implemented in Santa Monica was a dark sky ordinance. I mean, you'll laugh because we're surrounded on three sides by one of the largest light emitters on the planet, the city of and county of Los Angeles. But we wanted to make a statement. It was worth a try. This is an important issue, not for a multitude of reasons, if for no other reason than we need to cut down on the amount of light that goes skyward for the purposes of science, because telescopes are affected by the amount of light in the atmosphere that comes out of our cities. It's a real problem. And as you might imagine, it hasn't gone well in Santa Monica. So I was thrilled to see that Joshua Tree has been designated along with a number of other parks in the country. It's just so important, and this is such a stunningly beautiful environment. The fact that you're able to work to preserve the things that make up that beauty is just very, very important. I've been thinking about this event in relation to the upcoming eclipse, because these are, both around dark and light. And you know that the conflict between dark and light is frequently considered as something good versus evil. We see the conflict of dark versus light in a manner of speaking as a metaphor for some of the things that are going on around the world and in our country today. But there's a good that can come from dark too, and we see that in the eclipse. The sun goes dark, but then there's a beautiful penumbra around the sun that really speaks to us. In the case of the dark sky, we're able to see in the darkness something different than we ordinarily see. We're able to look skyward to the heavens and see a sky that's punctuated with stars and with constellations, with planets, and with the great beyond that we don't even know what's there. And what does that cause us to do? It causes us to dream. And when we dream, we become better people. So congratulations to you. This is something I'm very, very pleased to be able to participate in today.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to go into a short film that sort of tells the story of the technical and the intrinsic and the things. And sometimes, like Richard says about the darkness, sometimes you just want to call it the natural night. What is natural lighting? And I think sometimes we bring in a light, and that means we got to get another light. And because we have 2 lights, we need 4 lights. And sometimes we just turn out the lights. We realize we really didn't need a light to begin with. We actually can see pretty well without a light. And I think sometimes we just leave lights on when we don't need to. Anyway, the film we're about to see is a film that's been sponsored by the International Dark Sky Association. It's called Losing the Dark, and I think we're ready to cue it up.
We live on the surface of a planet, spinning on its axis once every 24 hours. Its rhythms of day and night are embedded in the biological makeup of all life. During the day, we bathe in the glow of the sun. As night approaches, darkness takes over. It's a time to rest, to rejuvenate, to marvel at the beauty of the night. Until just over a century ago, our night skies were very dark. Now, even the wilderness is invaded by light. Our cities glow at night. Buildings are lit up. Unshielded lights blind us as we travel along our streets and roads. All these artificial lights overpower the darkness. the waste of energy is obvious, even from space. Much of that yellow glare the astronauts see comes from streetlights. They produce most of the light pollution on the planet. The glare is scattered by the atmosphere, creating sky glows over the landscape. We are losing the dark of night at the speed of light. Light pollution threatens the health of every living thing on Earth. Lights at night disrupt plant growth. Unshielded lights contribute to the deaths of countless land and sea animals each year. Migrating birds crash into illuminated buildings. Newly hatched sea turtles mistake the glow of electric lights for the shimmer of the ocean's surface. Bright lights at night also directly affect humans. Drivers and pedestrians temporarily blinded by poorly designed lights have suffered tragic accidents. Light pollution poses a silent threat to our health. Exposure to light at night disrupts the circadian rhythms that regulate our sleep cycles. People working at night under bright lights or living in light-polluted cities face a higher risk of developing diseases such as breast and prostate cancer. Here is a night sky with typical light pollution. On a good night, only the brighter stars and planets pierce the glow. This is what the night sky might look like if we could remove the light pollution. That faint band of light stretching across the sky is the Milky Way, our home galaxy. Because of light pollution, many people have never seen it. Astronomers know all too well the problems caused by lighting up the night. They need clear, dark skies to study the many fascinating objects in the universe. Light pollution simply washes out their view of the cosmos. Lighting up the night sky wastes money and fossil fuels. To keep a 100-watt light bulb turned on every night for a year takes the equivalent energy output from burning half a ton of coal. Multiplied by the billions of lights blazing up from Earth, the cost of energy we use to light up the night is colossal. While lighting is needed, there are some simple things we can do to ensure that it's neighborhood-friendly, energy-efficient, and helps preserve dark skies. We can replace light fixtures that send light up to the sky with ones that direct light down, exactly where we want it. They're called fully shielded fixtures. We can also illuminate only the places that need it. And of course, we can just turn off unnecessary lights. These are smart ways to use lighting. They offer simple solutions to problems caused by light pollution. We have a choice between wasting resources by sending light to the sky or learning to use light more responsibly. Light pollution is a problem each of us can help solve. Together, we can bring back the dark of night to planet Earth.
Simple, really, a simple message, and it actually pays you when you shut off a light, and it doesn't cost us a dime. And speaking to the technical issues with regards to lighting, joining us today is someone who was involved in the first iteration of our Dark Sky Committee, the Morongo Basin Dark Sky Alliance, Terry Jackson. And Terry is a lighting engineer and owns one of the largest commercial lighting suppliers that I know of. And she knows more about how to be able to deal with light pollution than any other person I know. And I'd like to invite her up, and she can tell us a little bit about state of the art with regards to where the lighting industry's at and what we can do to take advantage of the opportunities that she knows about. Terry Jackson, everybody.
I got the casual Saturday memo. I don't know about you guys, but well, it's nice to be here. Thank you all for showing up and supporting. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. It's such an exciting time. I'm getting goosebumps. It's just such a great deal to see it come to fruition. I started with the original group, as you mentioned, many years ago, it seems, but I guess it was 2013. And then I moved out of the area, and everyone else took off with the end result, which is exactly what we wanted, right? Almost exactly what we wanted. And the almost part is why are we not gold? You know, what does it take to be gold? And the technical part of how to manifest that comes through our own deliberate choices in lighting solutions. As a community, as a county, as a state, certainly as a neighborhood, and as a neighbor, a responsible neighbor. And what we can do technically is be responsible and mindful of our outdoor light sources, or light solutions. Now, no one wants to compromise what they want to see when they want to see it, frankly. But there are technologies out there now that allow us to reduce wattage consumptions. We no longer need the 100-watt incandescent light bulb out there. I think they're illegal anyway. I think the EPA, anyway. They're replacing all of these light sources that become glare bombs or our neighborhood issues with different technologies that combine LED light solutions as well as reflector and glare shields and anything to point light down and actually illuminate just what you want to see. And by reducing the wattages of these glare bombs, we actually lower the light levels and create an environment that we can see beyond the perimeter of what that light source is actually showing, because we have less of a glare factor from an overlit situation to the actual night sky, the dark sky. So in order to do that, we really look at LED technologies. We're using LED technologies with high color rendering indexes. And color rendering actually is how much visual acuity do you have when you turn on a light source outside. And for me, as I age, the adaptation from dark to light and light to dark becomes more and more difficult for me to adjust. So I not only want something that is not a glare bomb and I can't see once I get out of that area, but also has a high color rendering index, which means that I see what I see and I see the colors, I see the bushes or whatever, or the people coming and going in their true state, in their visual context. So we look at different LED solutions, and LEDs, when we first got on the bandwagon of LEDs, the EPA kind of jumped the gun and provided a lot of LEDs that were not, or opened the door to providing LEDs that were not necessarily to our benefit, because they were not regulated as far as color rendering, and there was a lot of striation and strobing that happened with these LEDs as they were charged. But now, as we move through this whole learning curve, we're at a point now where we can actually find really good LED solutions. And I've changed out the light fixtures at my home and went from 100 watts to 12 watts, and actually, because of the higher color rendering index, I have better visual acuity, and I have a reduced energy bill, and I can see color perfectly. So it takes, in order for us to to segue into how do we achieve gold status for Joshua Tree, which is really what we're all about. It becomes a grassroots effort, and it takes the entire community and each one of us to light responsibly. And the sources that we use, there's I think I mentioned that I downloaded some outdoor lighting basic solutions from the IDA website, and this is a really good resource because it shows unacceptable or discouraged light fixtures and acceptable complements to that, which is actually keeping the light beam. Even if you don't go LED, perhaps you go with a different, more metal halide or high pressure sodium or anything else. Just ensure that no one can see the arc of that light source. No one can see that, and if you do that, that means that your fixture is shielded down and the refractor inside is actually working to keep that light source in a specific area and not up to the sky. So IDA has some really good resources on their website. I was the IDA Los Angeles chapter leader back in the day, and then I moved out to Rancho Mirage, and that's how I got involved with Tom's group here initially. And we were trying to craft the lighting ordinance for San Bernardino County at the time. I think that should be dusted off, maybe, and shepherded a little bit more, because it's a matter of really lighting consciously in order to keep those skies dark, because they are going to go away. And we can do that individually, we can do that collectively as a county-wide initiative. There are many tactics and many methods to use in lighting controls, for instance, in public spaces. Reducing lighting, reducing the light trespass in areas, and certainly in neighborhoods, and keeping light, the intensity down on the ground, but not so much that it bounces off the ground and goes back up in the air, because that happens too. We were working on the Port of Los Angeles in mitigating light pollution and neighborhood blight. And we ended up, I modeled the one pier, and these fixtures were dark sky friendly fixtures, but the intensity of those light fixtures was so intense, so much so that the light shot up another 100 feet above the light fixtures, and they were already mounted at 100 feet. So, that was a measurable amount that I could actually measure using the photometric calculations. So that doesn't even count the additional bleed up. So we have to just be mindful, and when we're back in in our everyday lives, do we really need the light on? Do we really need do we really need it shining up? Do we really need it shining over to our neighbor's house? What do we have to do in order to keep it where it needs to be? And you've done your part, and that's pretty much all I have. But thank you very much. Congratulations to such a big effort.
All good advice. And there's timers, there's motion sensors, there's lots of great ideas out there, and they're simple. They'll save you money, and at the end of the day, we all benefit, don't we? We're going to see how much you can benefit by having a dark sky as we go into the tail end of our presentation tonight, and we're very pleased to have somebody with us tonight who is a veteran of exploring the wonders of the cosmos, using his camera and being able to capture imagery that shows the value of a brilliant dark sky. I want to introduce to everybody Wally Pahoka. Where's Wally? There he is. As an amateur astronomer for the very first time, I was at an art show at the Oasis Visitor Center, and here was this fellow set up there with all these brilliant Milky Way pictures, and he was also in the newspaper that I just happened to have in my hand. And I recognized it, went, holy cow, the picture in the newspaper was by this guy. So I took it over and I introduced myself, and I asked him if he would sign my newspaper, and he graciously did. And that was a decade ago. And we've been friends ever since. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce one of the best advocates for a dark night sky we've ever known, Wally Pahoka.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. If someone could grab the lights, and I'm going to move this back so I could operate my computer here. Okay, I'm going to show you the beauty of the night sky. Certainly, some images here from Joshua Tree National Park, but America has quite a number of gorgeous parks with great night skies. Want to, first of all, thank Luke Zavala and Tom O'Kee for their extreme efforts that they had to go through to make this dark sky park happen. I happen to be coming up here for 50 years, and I've been taking pictures for a long time. But these guys were actually put the grease to the wheel and actually did what the hard work in getting this designation accomplished. So my hands out to Tom and Luke. I've known Tom for a number of years, and he's a great, great advocate of the night sky. I'm going to show you some of the beauty that exists. Many of us have been to many national parks, and we've enjoyed that experience in the daytime, and a few of us have enjoyed it at night. But for those of you who haven't taken a walk in the park at night, I encourage you to do so. And may these photos just entice you to do so. One thing about hiking the parks at night is that you basically own the park. Nobody's there. Even if you go to gorgeous places like Yosemite that are just really crowded in the daytime, at night you basically own the park. So from Yosemite Valley to Monument Valley, we are truly gifted with the blessing of having these parks available to us. Half the people that visit the parks are foreigners, and so they know what beauty we have. This is at the top of Haleakala Crater on Maui National Park. Just stunning night skies. And then down on the coast, also part of Haleakala National Park, is the Kipahulu region. Some of you may have known it as the Road to Hana, that 3-hour windy road. But the reward after you get there is, as this picture shows, is the Big Dipper on the left and the full arch, the Milky Way. And then the 7 sacred pools flowing into the ocean. I visited a number of places. This is the Easter Island. Obviously, it's very, very remote, one of the most remote places on Earth. There's another image there. The sky is spectacular. But as this next slide shows, even the most remote place on Earth is impacted by light pollution. The largest city there is a city of only 5,000 people. But as you could see, light pollution is a factor. So no matter how far you go, light pollution can bother you and bother the experience. I was fortunate to grow up, and at least until I was 16, up in Canada, and so I go outside at night and see the stars every night. And so I was really blessed, and God instilled in me in a very young age the desire to go out and look at the night sky. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and they all thought I was crazy, just spending all hours of the night out there. But after a couple of years, I had a paper out back then. I ended up scrounging enough money to buy a camera from a pawn shop. And so I started taking pictures to show my family and friends, well, hey, this is what I'm looking at. And so I've been at that, doing that ever since. My dad moved the family when I was 16 to Long Beach. He came to work in the aircraft industry, and that was the end of my night skies. I was able to go down to the local beach and still find some interesting things to take photos of, and here's an eclipse moon. And here's some of the planets, which were still nicely visible. But to see the night sky, I had to wait a couple of years till I got my driver's license when I was 17 or 18, and I discovered Joshua Tree. So I've been basically coming out here for 50 years now. I hate to say that, but that's what it is. And here's a winter night, a rare winter night near Queen Mountain. That's Milky Way Arch over Quail Springs. Yeah. Cap Rock, full Milky Way Arch. You get the full Milky Way Arch, you're basically looking directly east, and the north and south, north is to the left and the south is to the right. Joshua Tree has always been my place to come to see meteor showers and to see comets. I'm going to run through a number of images here. This is Indian Cove Campground. There's a great Leonid storm of 2001. We saw thousands per hour, an average about three every second. It's just quite incredible. This again, Indian Cove. That was kind of my hangout for many years. Here's a real bright Perseid meteor and a stunningly bright Gemini meteor. Gemini meteors are the best shower of the year, but they're in December 13th, 14th. Most people, it's cold, and so not as many people are familiar with the Gemini shower as the Perseid shower, which is happening tonight. Also, Joshua Tree is a place to come and see comets. Here's two comets in one shot, Comet Bradfield and Comet Linear, of course, here in Joshua Tree. Great Comet Hyakutake, 1996. That was a tremendous comet, and we were blessed to have Hale-Bopp the year after that, basically the comet of the century. This image was published all over the world, Time Magazine, National Geographic, it was sold to Associated Press, so over 2,000 newspapers around the world. So this kind of put Joshua Tree in the map for a lot of people, for the place to go to see comets and meteors. This is one of my favorite photos, Indian Cove Campground. This made Time Magazine Picture of the Year in '97. And this is all the pictures so far were taken with a 50 millimeter lens. This one is a close-up, basically 120 millimeter lens. But that comet was giant. It was visible to the naked eye. This is hard to believe, but for 13 months it was visible to the naked eye, visible in every city on Earth. And matter of fact, at its closest approach, it was 120 million miles away. The sun is 93 million miles away. So in other words, at its closest approach, it was on the other side of the sun. If the Earth was in the other side of its orbit, in other words, close to this comet, it would have literally filled the sky from one end to the other. It was still spectacular as it was, as you could see in this picture. And this is Hale-Bopp over Hand Rock in Indian Cove Campground. Soon after the comet, I received this email from Roger Hamid from Kyrgyzstan, Iraq. This was about 20 years ago. He basically said, Mr. Wally, we have seen your images on the internet from Indian Cove Campground and Joshua Tree National Park. Thanks for sharing these images with us. We don't know if it's possible, but we would like to be your friends. And kind of a cute email, but I've been friends with Roger for 20 years now. This is an exhibit in, this is Brazil. I believe this is Thailand. Anyhow, there's a guy in Nigeria taking a look at one of my photos. Yeah, there's some gals in Korea. And this is an email I'll never forget. So Mr. Paholka, we are the 6th grade class of Anne Frank School in Germany. We saw your photographs of Comet Hellbop from Joshua Tree, and just wanted to thank you for sharing your photographs of night sky with us. And that was really cute to get. This was last night in my home. Believe it or not, we had 25 Chinese students that are here, came to America on a Chinese tour to tour the United States National Parks, culminating with the eclipse up in Grand Tetons. But Death Valley, Mars, and Orion. Definitely Dark Sky Park. Sequoia National Park. We live in a great country. Yosemite, Merced River. Bridalveil Falls. It's a little cold that night. It was 17 degrees. Mono Lake. Look at the Gemini twins reflected. Obviously, the star on the right is a blue star. Generally, it's stars in photographs, they're overexposed, so you see the white color, but in the reflections, you often see the true color. Here's Mono Lake again, seeing the colors of the stars in the reflections. Lassen National Park. Gorgeous area. Lake Tahoe. 21-mile diameter, and I was there for 3 nights. The third night it was just like glass, and so the star reflections were incredible. Beautiful Crater Lake up in Oregon. Grand Tetons. Old Faithful Geyser with the Milky Way on the left and Jupiter above it. Here's the full arch of the Milky Way over Old Faithful. Last year I scouted out some areas in Idaho for the eclipse. Good place to see the eclipse. This was near the city of Stanley, Redfish Lake. Those are the Sawtooth Mountains, a recreational area. It's definitely pretty enough to be a national park. I think they keep it a recreational area because they like hunting and stuff like that, which would not be allowed in the national park. The gorgeous area. A few months back, I went to the Great Smoky Mountains. Here's the Wapaki outside of Flagstaff, Big and Little Dipper, Great Basin, Monument Valley. Monument Valley again, great place for meteor showers. This is Arizona, Oregon Pipe National Park. The green there is air glow. It's been very common lately. Air glow is an air phenomenon. It's kind of like aurora, but it's different. That's about all I know. But it's very pretty. Here's the White Sands National Park. Big Bend, very dark. Speed limit around the U.S., Texas takes the cake. Their speed limit there is 85 miles an hour. And the reason it's 85 miles an hour is because it needs to be 85 miles an hour if you want to get from point A to point B in Texas. That park is really far. Bandelier, Indian ruins, petroglyphs, or not petroglyphs, petrified forest. Route 66, Painted Desert, beautiful Bear Lake and Rocky Mountain National Park, Zion, Cedar Breaks, and Dark Sky Park, certainly, very dark. Bryce Canyon, very, very dark. This is Navajo Trail, fabulous place to see the night sky. Capitol Reef, very dark, this Dark Sky Park. Arches, of course. This is one of the most stunning places I've ever been. It's a cave in Canyonlands National Park. Here's the first international dark sky park, natural bridges, Mount Rushmore, Devil's Tower, Badlands. And then some of my favorite parks are in Hawaii, Mauna Kea, 13,000 feet. This is dawn on Haleakala Crater on Maui. In the red glow is the planet Mercury, close to the sun. On the right-hand side, you could see the two pointer stars pointing to the Southern Cross. Yeah, you can see the Southern Cross from Hawaii. You don't have to go to New Zealand. Just a stunning night skies there. And the coast, this is the seven sacred pools of Hana. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's all, folks. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can clearly see what we can see when you can see it. But imagine that we had erased all those opportunities and it felt like Wally couldn't bring this wonderful, collection to us, for us to enjoy. I think about monuments and places where you can't do this. I mean, I remember being at the Independence Hall in Philadelphia and thinking about guys like Benjamin Franklin who stood right there where I was standing and saw a night sky like that right over that place. And then I was in Washington, D.C., and I stood right in front of our national buildings all along the mall and wondered, what were they all seeing in 1850? What was the night sky like over our national buildings in Washington, D.C.? And to go to our Capitol, look up and see these views, nothing would give me more pleasure than to see Wally be able to go to Independence Hall and capture the Milky Way there the way Benjamin Franklin saw it. And I wonder if President Garfield, when he first lit up the Capitol with the newfangled electric lights that he installed everywhere, if he would have realized what was coming, that what was happening was the very definite and slow process of eroding something that is probably one of the most valuable resources that human beings can have, which is a natural environment. And little by little, as we go through this new fangled sixth mass extinction, as we watch the things on our planet that we need to care about, one of the things we can do that's the most simple we can do is to look out for some night skies. I want to thank everybody for coming and being part of this, and I'd like to open up the floor if anybody has anything to say or any questions you'd like to speak to any of our speakers tonight or anything you'd like to ask. But we're going to set up an opportunity to do some photography with the supervisor and with the superintendent and others that are here. And I'm going to turn it over to Marker. Marker has some things that she always thinks of, and I got to tell you how lucky we are to have this gal with us here in Joshua Tree. She's brought great energy. I've had a real good time working with her on this project, setting all this up. Thank you, Marker.
I just wanted to say Wally Paholka did bring some images that he's selling tonight. There's free eclipse glasses, bookmarks that Tom O'Kee made up, and some dark sky stickers and other information there. So help yourself to some swag before you go. And again, it's Hidden Valley Picnic Area. We'll have telescopes set up there, and to the left of the box with the eclipse glasses, I've got some maps. There's also park maps there if you need them. And Sky's the Limit in 29 Palms, just outside the north entrance. So see you there, or go meteor watching anywhere in the park. Thanks again for coming. Have a good night.